Well, my next guest is Benjamin Schmitt. He joins me tonight from Washington, D.C. He's a former U.S. State Department advisor on European energy security. He's now with Harvard University. Benjamin, it's good to have you. I have to admit, I lost count of how many times you and I have spoken over the years about the dangers of Nord Stream 2. You have been sounding the alarm since day one. How do you feel now?
Well, I'll tell you, Brent, thanks for bringing that up, but it's not time for looking back on the history of this. Unfortunately, we can do that in the future. We have to save Ukraine right now. And the bottom line is, yes, we have been warning about the energy security risks, but also the national security risks of Nord Stream 2 for years. And part of that is the physical dependency on the Ukrainian gas transmission network in and around the line of contact in Donbass. And I've talked to you and your viewers on Deutsche Welle a number of times about that. And the point that I was making is that it would make it very difficult, given that Putin would still rely on the Ukrainian gas transmission network in the absence of Nord Stream 2, to push out from the line of contact in Donbass, given the physical proximity of those pipes that they still rely on to get gas to Europe from where the fighting was. The thing that was missing in that analysis, and I don't think anyone was anticipating, is a full-scale war across the entirety of Ukraine, and that is very, very troubling indeed, obviously. And my heart goes out to all of my friends and colleagues that I've met over the years that are still in Ukraine. But we need more actions, not just thoughts and prayers. We need to bring more military aid in the form of Stingers and Javelins and drones. Turkish drones, I believe, are the most compatible at this point. But also take vital energy security steps. And on Nord Stream 2, look, what we've seen over the past week is basically Berlin doing every single topic that you and I have discussed over the years. Number one was certification of Nord Stream 2 was halted. And the way it was certified is really important. And I want to tell the viewers what's gone on there because it's so important. So basically, under Article 11 of the gas directive of the European Union's third energy package, a member state that's vetting the energy security or national security risk of a piece of energy infrastructure needs to include if that piece of infrastructure will harm the energy security of the member state or the union as a whole. And what Minister Habeck had done is insert language into the assessment that the previous government had made that said it didn't have any energy security risks, which was obviously false, to include national security in there. That's really important because it is a fundamental sea change. Finally, Berlin has taken into account that energy security is national security, and it's not just a commercial deal, as has been said over the years.
Yeah, Benjamin, I want you to listen to what the German economics minister said today. He was talking about energy issues, and yeah, this is what he said. Listen.
I say this with great regret and without any joy, that Germany is dependent on Russian energy. We must free ourselves from Russian energy imports. That includes gas, that includes coal, and that includes oil. We're doing everything we can to achieve that.
Benjamin, you know what this was? Someone described it to me today as an energy come to Jesus moment for Germany. But it's taken so long. The signs have been there the whole time. The reality has been there. We've finally got it. Is it too little, too late?
It can't be too little, too late because it has to take place. So we've seen the statements by Chancellor Scholz to take very positive and very rapid steps to implement basically what the European Union has been doing since 2015 is an energy union concept to reduce dependency on Russian natural gas in particular. So building LNG terminals to import global supply. Remember, you and I have pointed out that Russian propaganda that was stated by many German supporters of Nord Stream 2 was that diversification infrastructure in our U.S. opposition to Nord Stream 2 was, quote unquote, just to sell U.S. LNG. Well, look where we're at right now. That is actually what we've been talking about all the time is national security risks of Russian actions like this. And we've seen Nord Stream 2 be sanctioned. The corporate officers of Nord Stream 2 AG are also sanctioned. Former Stasi officer and Putin Kremlin Matthias Warnig is sanctioned. And Nord Stream 2 AG itself had gone bankrupt. It has been dissolved. All 106 employees have been fired. And so I think that is the final chapter of Nord Stream 2. Now,
Good.
we need to move forward on a European basis to build more floating storage and regasification units, to increase the regasification capacity, to start planning for next winter. Brent, we're at the end of the heating cycle right now in the spring. But right now, we need to be taking actions for the fall and into next winter.
Let me ask you this before we run out of time. You're right, we're coming into spring, into summer here, but the fall it'll be here sooner than you realize, and the need for natural gas will be with us again. Can you imagine the Kremlin then cutting off those pipelines that are flowing across Ukraine, for example, come next autumn, next winter? I mean, is that a risk that we're already running?
I think it's a risk we're running right now today. Remember, they're going through an active combat zone right
That's
now.
right.
And frankly, heroic Ukrainians are still running that to make sure Europe is kept warm. They're sitting at their control stations at these gas transmission system operation centers, keeping that gas flowing from Russia through an active war zone in Ukraine to European customers. And so those steps need to take place now to diversify. We need to see Europeans basically kicking Gazprom ownership out of gas storages in Western Europe. Remember, Brent, a lot of gas storages in Western Europe are owned, or at least partially owned, by Russian state-controlled Gazprom. This is a massive conflict of interest in a time of national security crisis. We also need to see oil sanctions come on soon, but right now we need to take a three-phase approach. First, we need to continue to see the global energy trade market continue to avoid Russian Urals prices, Russian Urals volumes. The Urals prices dropped significantly below the global Brent price benchmark, $18 below Brent. And that's going to put immediate pressure on Vladimir Putin. We need to then see vessel sanctions against the fleets that Russia uses to export these hydrocarbons, and then finally have coordination on a U.S.-EU basis and globally on sectoral sanctions on Russian oil and gas. And this has all got to happen very quickly. We've been talking about this for years. Now we have weeks, Brent.
And Benjamin, you put it into perspective too. People here in Germany who are depending on natural gas for heat have that natural gas thanks to the Ukrainians who are in the middle of a war. Benjamin Schmitt, as always, thank you. We will be talking again soon, I'm sure. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Brent.